The Alliance's minor territorial adjustments gave slivers of space to them all, under the pretense of mutual benefit. Human leaders, eager to avoid confrontation with such a powerful coalition, frequently gave in, believing compromise was the path to peace. But with every success, the Alliance's demands became bolder. Financial penalties were placed on human colonies that resisted, masked as enforcement of galactic trade laws. Smiling diplomatic representatives arrived with promises, yet always with underlying threats. Human territory was gradually eroded, not by force but by relentless diplomatic pressure. The more humanity yielded, the more the Alliance advanced without firing a single shot. But frustration began to build. The once hopeful belief that peaceful negotiations would secure the future gave way to growing outrage and feelings of betrayal. Many began to view their own leaders not as peacemakers but as weak points, while the Alliance's demands grew increasingly absurd. What had started as negotiations slowly became the erosion of human sovereignty. With every new agreement, something was lost. Territory, resources, pride. The influence crept closer. The patience of Earth and its people began to wear thin. And then came Alexander Cade, a rising political figure. Cade spoke plainly, questioning the wisdom of endless appeasement and calling for resistance against the Alliance's encroachment. He was not like the cautious leaders before him. His words were sharp, promising to defend humanity and its interests at all costs. While others believed diplomacy was the only option, Cade called it a trap. To him, every compromise was another step into submission. His record of defiance and refusal to yield made him a divisive figure. To his supporters, he was the leader humanity desperately needed, someone willing to do whatever it took to protect their home. To his critics, he was a dangerous agitator who could lead humanity into an unwinnable war. But as the Alliance's demands turned outrageous, Cade's message struck a nerve with the public. The idea that humanity needed to stop talking and start protecting itself gained momentum. As his popularity surged, so did his power. Cade demanded an end to the constant concessions. Warning that the Alliance's goals were far from benign, he pointed to the expanding intrusions as proof that diplomacy had failed. Humanity, he argued, was being led to its own destruction. More and more, Cade called on humanity to prepare for the conflict he believed was no longer avoidable. In his view, the only way to safeguard humanity's future was through unity and defiance. To show the galaxy that humans would no longer bow to intimidation, that they were ready to fight for their place among the stars. Then the turning point came. Cade was elected president of Earth and its colonies, a clear directive from a weary and angry populace. His victory was no accident. It was a message. Humanity was done being pushed around. He wasted no time. Cade launched a sweeping plan to rebuild and fortify Earth's military capabilities. Investments poured into advanced technologies. Defenses were strengthened across human space. A new order took shape. No more waiting. No more bowing to demands. Cade was preparing for the day when words would no longer be enough. And then the Alliance made their move. A clandestine operation. A surprise assault on the Arcadia colony. A thriving community known for its resources and strategic location. Warships arrived under cover of darkness. The barrage was brutal. Tens of thousands of civilians were killed in minutes. The Alliance believed this would break humanity's resolve, that Cade would be forced to yield, that Earth would return trembling to the negotiation table. They had used this tactic before successfully, but this time they made a mistake, because this time they were facing President Alexander Cade. His response was immediate. The images of Arcadia's devastation ignited a cold fury across Earth and its colonies. This was no longer a political maneuver. This was an act of war. The Alliance had revealed its true face. Whatever illusion of peace remained was gone. There would be no more compromise, no more retreat. Cade addressed the people of Earth in a speech that would be remembered for generations. With sorrow in his voice, he mourned the lives lost on Arcadia. But beneath the grief burned a fire. He said, "We've seen the Galactic Alliance's true nature. They think terror and violence will break us. They are wrong. They wanted a war, and now they'll get one. Not just for our survival, but for our pride, our dignity, and our rightful place in the galaxy. It's time the Alliance learned what it means to provoke the wrath of humanity. That speech sparked a fire across every colony, every city, every citizen. Factories converted to military production. Volunteers flooded recruitment centers. Civilian industries turned to the war effort overnight. The Alliance, long dismissive of humanity, was now facing its full power. Cade's mobilization was swift, strategic, and relentless. Hidden military projects were activated. Stealth fleets developed in secret over decades deployed with cloaking technology the Alliance couldn't detect. They struck without warning, then vanished. Energy weapons bypassed conventional shields. Drones equipped with near-sentient AI executed flawless missions. Orbital kinetic weapons threatened entire planets. Humanity was no longer reactive. It was on the offensive. Research teams worked non-stop. Intelligence services sabotaged the Alliance from within. Every sector of society focused on one goal: victory. The Alliance, expecting easy submission, now found itself on the defensive. Their overconfidence crumbled. Their fleets faltered. Cade's tactics exploited their weaknesses, striking where it hurt most. What had once been a hopeless situation became a rallying cry for all humankind. The war had begun, and under Cade's leadership, humanity would not just fight. It would rise, and the galaxy would remember the day it pushed too far. Cade's tactics were just as bold as they were effective. He utilized psychological warfare, spreading false information to cause misunderstandings within the Alliance ranks, leading them to improperly distribute their resources and forces. Decoy fleets drew the coalition into ambushes while teams of strikers targeted vital supply lines. Entire regions of the Alliance were left vulnerable. Cade was not afraid to take risks, and his well-timed wagers paid off. It began with a string of early triumphs that made the galaxy tremble. Among the most significant was the Battle of Vega Prime, where a vastly outnumbered human fleet eliminated an entire Alliance armada. Cade exploited gravitational anomalies, predicting the Alliance's traditional tactics and turning them against them. What should have been a devastating loss for humanity became a crushing blow to the coalition. This and other victories forced the coalition to reevaluate their strategies. For the first time in their history, the Alliance's confidence began to crack. The early bluster faded, replaced by a growing fear. A decision had to be made quickly. The conflict was turning into a long-term war. Despite the cost, the galaxy's greatest powers found themselves struggling to keep up with an adversary they had underestimated. Each battle revealed new depths of humanity's military power. Each setback weakened the coalition. Cade's command over morale was critical. His readiness to make hard decisions, pushing his troops, adapting to the changing war, was relentless. Though humanity remained on the defensive, Cade kept command. He refused to give the Alliance a moment's rest. The coalition was caught off guard by the ferocity and precision of the human counteroffensive. They were now fighting a war on several fronts, unable to anticipate where the next blow would land. The balance of power was shifting. The once undisputed leaders of the galaxy now faced the very real possibility of losing the war they once felt assured to win. Their confidence was turning into their worst nightmare. Humanity, under the leadership of a brutal, determined commander, was proving to be more than just formidable. They were reshaping the future of the galaxy. The war dragged on. Cade's rise to prominence had been steep and brutal. Whole fleets vanished in savage engagements. Flourishing cities were reduced to ashes. Millions of lives were lost on both sides. Every inch of ground came at a high price in blood. The longer the conflict lasted, the more apparent it became. No one would emerge unscathed. Cade's aggressive strategy kept the coalition on the defensive, but it came with costs few leaders would bear. His resolve was unwavering. Victory above all, even if it meant sending troops into battles they might not survive. Entire divisions were sacrificed to achieve a single strategic objective. Lives were exchanged for progress. Cade's willingness to make these decisions earned him admiration and fear. To some, he was a necessary force of nature, a leader who would do whatever was required to secure humanity's future in the galaxy.